Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Partners in Ovation. My name is Trish Cohn. I'm the Executive Director of Ovation Chai Point, and I'm proud to announce this beautiful series that is an ongoing one with all of our partners. And what does this series do? This is a series that provides an opportunity for you to really get to know us and our partners, whether they be a partner that works here, whether they be a partner that is one of our guests out in the community, a family member, or any of the other organizations or people that we come in contact with that play a major part with us in our partnerships of developing this to be the best senior living around. Today, what I would like to do is introduce you to our Director of Technology and Security, and this is Michael Opitz. So I'm going to turn it over to him so he can tell you a little bit about who he is, what he does here, and then we're going to get to the up close and fun part of being personal with him.
Thank you for having me. To answer that question, I have to go back quite a few years. I am originally from Germany, and about 20 years ago I started working at the Central Council of Jews in Germany, which is the central head organization of all Jewish communities in Germany. And I started working there originally as their chief of security, and then later on became their computer guy and their systems administrator. And ironically, it was my wife who back then asked me to step away from the security side of things and focus on computers, which was okay by me because it was making my hobby my profession. So about 12 years ago, I moved to the United States. Me and my wife got married at the time, and I kept working in the industry. I kept working in the field of computers, and in 2015 started working for Ovation Communities. Very shortly after that, ironically, the security part caught up with me again, and because I had that experience and because I've done this for so long, I was asked to take that role over again, and ever since then I am the Director of Technology and Security, both for the physical security as well as the computer side of things.
How has technology changed, especially right now, for our residents, for our staff, through this pandemic that has happened?
To answer that question, I have to go back to the beginnings of the pandemic. When this started, the main impact that we had very early on was the shutdown of both of our facilities, Chai Point and the Jewish Home, in the sense that visitors were not allowed anymore unless medically necessary and for emergencies. So the biggest impact that we had and still have is the complete loss, in a sense, of direct social interaction with residents and their family members and friends. So one of our biggest challenges was to keep that up in some way, or change it into something that we could manage and something that would be safe for the residents. So obviously video conferencing and video calls and everything that you can do with that technology became the prime focus. But it wasn't as easy as just giving every resident an iPad or telling them to use FaceTime to reach out to everybody, because of the sheer volume on one side and the technological challenges that came up with that. And we had so many requests from family members about all kinds of ways to connect with us and all kinds of ways to connect with their loved ones. Can you use Zoom? Can we use FaceTime? Can I use Skype? Can I use, and you can, this list goes on and on and on. And because I didn't want us to be a limiting factor in this, we tried to accommodate everybody. So we had to make sure all these different products were running on our system. We had to make sure that the staff members were trained to do all that. And the second part of all that was to make the same work with our staff and our partners that we had. So the teleconferences became a tool for social conferences, for telemedicine. So doctor visits happened to be became virtual. So this overarching video conferencing theme was a great challenge for us, and something that we had to adopt for pretty much everything and anything that we did.
Thank you. That's a lot of information and a lot of fast-paced work that you had to do to catch us up into this new, into our new world. I always think to myself, I'd never even heard of Zoom, and now most of my afternoons are Zooming all afternoon.
The medical part and the interaction between residents and family members is one thing, and the other thing, because again, social life basically came to a grinding halt. We had a lot of really, really good activities here at High Point with concerts and lecture series, presenters coming in from the outside, and all of a sudden that stopped. And that was the other challenge that we had, is like, how do we give them the same enriching experience that they used to now in some remote fashion? So, for example, one of the things that we did is with concerts, we did concert series in a form where we have residents together in pods almost. So they're not over a certain group size, we can socially distance them, but they can all sit somewhat together and enjoy a concert almost the same way as they could before.
Right. What about the seniors that can't operate, you know, the computers easily? How do they catch up with technology? What can we do for them?
That's where our Activities and Social Services Department have done an amazing job at helping residents out and helping family members out. They're the ones that facilitate the Zoom calls. They're the ones that, in some cases, set up the calls and then are there if there's any technical problems or any questions. So it's a team effort. It's not just the technology department throwing out a whole bunch of iPads and then leaving everybody onto their own devices.
It's again the old saying, it takes a village in order to do this,
yes,
and which is
exactly.
really great. And I've seen it, and so much of even the Zooming is very intimate. It doesn't feel like you're really not with these people. I feel like they're right in the room with me. It's even a little bit more intimate than it was before. Let me ask you, what are some apps or some items that you think are senior friendly that can be used to keep in contact with their friends and family?
There are quite a few out there, and it's really hard to say now exactly
what would be the one that you would recommend the most?
Right now, and I haven't unfortunately personally been able to test it out, but one of the things that is out there, it's called a GrandPad. It is a tablet that is specifically made for seniors. It has a senior-friendly interface, and it is locked down, meaning that you have to have a counter app on somebody else's phone, family member, who can then contact you, and you can make video calls, you can share photos, you can message each other. It's almost like a personal form of Facebook that is limited to a certain amount of devices. The other thing that is a little more open is all the digital assistants that are now out there, whether that is Siri for an iPad or Alexa for any type of Amazon device. Those greatly help getting residents over that hurdle of the interface on a computer. It's very, very difficult for somebody to sit down and learn how to use a regular interface like Windows, and move the mouse, enter the commands, and do all the stuff that they need to do to make that work. It is a lot easier to be able to just say, hey Alexa, do this.
What kind of risk also come from technology? Because you have the benefits, but there's some risk involved.
There's always the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
And the biggest risk, as with many things when it comes to seniors, unfortunately, is the potential for fraud and to become a victim of fraud. It has not stopped with getting phone calls from somebody pretending to be Medicare, especially if you give access to technologies that are not limited, so to speak, like the GrandPad, where there is a limitation on what they can do. If you delve in the world of email, for example, that opens up the floodgates to fraud, and it's really difficult, not just for seniors, for everybody, to decipher what's good and what's bad, but it becomes more difficult for somebody who hasn't done this long enough. So that is by far the biggest problem that is out there.
Thank you. This has been such a great, informative interview today. I've just really enjoyed being with you, as I always do anyway. And especially I always call Michael whenever I'm having my own technology issues, which can be sometimes a lot, and always is patient and ready to help us. And I just want to say thank you again for being part of number 3, which is excellent.
Thank you for having me.
3's like a charm, I think. I want to just tell everybody today to watch more episodes of our Partners in Ovation. Please make sure that you like, and you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you can also find us on, there's so many good places to go, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, because we need your support and we always appreciate it. And I look forward to our next Partners in Ovation, and thank you for joining us today.